Well, hello, boys and girls, and welcome to another episode of the leading talk show in town.
In town?
In Norfolk.
The nation.
The nation, well, yes. And you know what? I must get my pen out to make a note of something else I wanted to talk about. And that, we'll talk about that later. So, how you doing this morning, Dwayne?
Good. Since we last spoke, we both have had a bout with Mr. COVID.
Yeah, he's quite a guy. Although, I must say, I had COVID a couple of weeks ago, or whenever the heck
Right
it
after
was.
you,
Yeah.
then Monica had it.
And it was basically you feel kind of blah and kind of for like a day and a half.
Yeah.
And then wake up the following morning and it's all over.
I ended up with a cough.
Yeah.
I wasn't even going to test
Yeah.
because I've had these coughs before. And I got all kinds of allergies and I always got drainage and everything else. But that Friday morning, I think it was, or Saturday, I guess it was, Monica said, "Hey, we got a lot of tests. Just go ahead, try one. See what that cough is." I put the drops in, it moved over, and it said it's a good test. And I said, "Wait a minute, that thing's positive." I was shocked. So I said, "Well, nothing I can do now. It's Saturday." And
Well, actually, with us being free, white, and 21 again, there's nothing really, it's all just, I got to stay away from people. That's basically it.
So I happened to talk to my son. He said, "No, I just call. Your doctor answering service will pick up." She said, "Most of these people now with COVID have got somebody on call." So I don't know if she has or not. So I called, and the answering service said, took my information. She says, "A nurse will call you back very shortly." Within 3 minutes, I hung up the phone. It was not an RN.
LPN.
No.
No?
The one that can give prescription.
Yeah, okay.
Nurse practitioner. Yeah.
Right.
She said, "I'm coming for your doctor this weekend." And she said, "What how old are you?" And I give all the stuff. She said, "Your symptoms?" I said, "I got a cough." She said, "Well, okay." She said, "Well," she said, "you're a prime candidate for Paxlovid."
Yep.
She said, "I'm going to call CVS and put one in there for you." She said, "Either go to the drive-in or have somebody else pick it up for you." I said, "Okay." And it's packaged so you can't screw it up. It's two different kind of pills. There's two of one and one on the other, and there's a day 1, day 2, day 3, 4, 5, and you take it morning and night. She says, "You may get a funny taste in your mouth." You do. I mean, oh my God. It's brutal. It's like sucking on pennies with a piece of copper, a piece of aluminum's thrown in. When you wake up in the morning, you think, "Oh my God." But if you keep things like a piece of candy or something in your mouth or some kind of, it kills it.
Yeah.
But other than that, after the first day, I had the cough started to break up.
Yeah. Paxlovid is getting tough to get.
I understand that.
And you know why? It's the one medicine that we're selling to China that they're buying. And they're buying huge amounts.
It's been around for a while.
Yeah.
They use it for HIV too.
Yep. It's powerful stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, anyway, I talked to Thelma yesterday.
How's she doing?
Thelma Ravinsky, our friend who has broken her hip or fractured her hip or whatever, and she has a rod in her hip.
Okay, yep,
And she's doing extremely well. She is as positive as can be, and she has got to be the sharpest 95-year-old lady in the world. Is. Man, she's totally on top of her game, and basically her message was, "I don't like being in this rest home. I can get the hell out of here."
Yeah, I'm not
so
surprised.
she's doing everything they ask her to do. Mm-hmm. She said, "Because that's the only way I'm going to get out of here."
Yeah.
So, and she's going to get a walker without wheels.
Okay.
Because they feel that with the wheels, she may be moving a little too fast. Mm-hmm. So this will be more deliberate for her. So she hopes by the end of the month to be back home.
Good for her. That's good, though.
And she's looking forward to coming to trivia again.
Because you get people, particularly elderly, like you and I, in our own home setting, has a real healing effect.
Yeah, it does.
As opposed to being in an institutional setting.
Oh, yeah. Yep, it is. And it'll be the best thing in the world for her.
Yep.
And she's got a big family. She's not going to suffer from loneliness.
So that's good, because and
there'll be people dropping in and getting her mail for her and all that stuff, and seeing her on a daily basis, and visitors. And so anyway, that's good news. One of the things that is not so good news, we might as well get this one out of the way. Would you care to mention a few words about the Patriots?
Dysfunctional.
A wonderful word.
That's why I see it as one side doesn't know what the other side do, and one hand doesn't know the other. And I don't think the signals are going in right. And I, by any means, an expert in football, but just as a layman watching, I don't have a lot of faith in Patricia.
No, in fact, I thought that when he was a defensive coordinator for the Patriots, he was just a puppet for Belichick anyway. I didn't see any brilliance shooting out of his ears. But you see, he got him because Detroit cut him.
Yep.
And he and Joe Judge, the Giants cut Joe Judge. They were being paid by the New York Giants and the Detroit Lions totally.
Yep.
So he got two coaches for no money.
That's right.
And you know what? I think he put the blinders on.
Yep.
And it was, I'm getting something for nothing.
Yep.
Well, you know what? A lot of times when you get something for nothing,
that's what you get.
That's exactly what it's worth.
Yep.
Nothing.
Nothing.
And that proved it. But he is so loyal to his people and to his friends. Never criticized him.
No, he's...
That's not his style.
No.
I'm not sure that if he hired a couple of whiz-bangs, it would have been materially better. Because...
Yeah, you're right.
The talent
is not there.
Yeah. And that reflects on him.
According to Mr. Kraft, that they're going to try to do something about it. So.
I think if we were a fly on the wall in that meeting that took place between those two, I think Kraft must have done most of the talking.
I suspect so.
Yeah.
He's got the biggest dog in the fight.
Yep. He does, and he makes it clear that he loves Bill and respects Bill, and he thinks he's got the greatest coach. And you know what? There's a lot of evidence to support that.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with Belichick's
football
at all.
But his people choices are puzzling, and his draft choices are puzzling.
Yeah, but you know what I think it is, part of it too? He's been either very skilled or very lucky in the past. He's taken some hunches on some people that really worked out. A few of them didn't, but he kind of had a safety valve. He said, Randy Moss, you're a troublemaker, we'll give you a shot. If you're not, you're down the road. And he didn't hang on to the ones that obviously were trouble. He got rid of them real quick. But he's made some very good choices. The obvious, of look at the people we've had.
Van Noy.
Yeah.
Picked him up for nothing.
Yep.
Got 2 or 3 good years out of him. Vrabel, another one off the pile,
That's
so
right.
to speak. You're right. He has, and he's picked up good men, and said, "Now here's how you're going to do it." Guess what? It worked.
Yep.
But then his draft choices have been just way off the charts.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been terrible. But what I don't like, what I saw I don't like, is the lynch mob that is circling the
Oh, my
Patriots
God, yeah.
about Mac Jones.
Yeah.
You think that Mac Jones really wanted this year to go the way it did?
Of course not.
No. But yet, you'd think, God, he was a mass murderer or a pervert or something.
It went from almost hero the first year.
Yeah.
He was a godsend. Look at this brand new kid out of the 4 or 5 of them, whatever there were, the rookies.
Yeah,
He stood out.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the one that
He was
caught
the
on
best of the
quickest.
5.
Yeah. But all of a sudden, something he plays maybe at his skill level or experience level. All of a sudden, it's like you said, it's the lynch mob. They got the pitchforks and the torches out.
Yeah, I mean, if they wanted to do that, they should have looked at the offensive line.
Oh yeah, that thing is like porous.
Or the special teams. The two big weaknesses there, and the depth at wide receiver. I mean, the depth, it just wasn't hardly anything positive about the wide receivers, and they signed the 2 tight ends to huge contracts, and then Patricia does not have a set of plans, of plays for them. They
Right.
don't participate in the offense.
Yep, I know. It's
It's absurd. If they wanted to hang somebody, I would think that Mac Jones would be the last one
Yeah.
they should search out. He was given a menu of plays, which Patricia repeated over and over.
you can almost see it coming.
Yeah. We're going to run on first down
Yep.
and pass on second down, and then we'll see what happens on third.
We're going to run one out of 4 plays. We're going to run one right through the middle, in spite of the fact that you will run right into the grouping, and you'll run into your own men, right into their own back, and you'll fall down. But we'll do it over and over and over because every 10th or 20th time it works. But
It was Einstein who said that
Yeah.
idiocy is doing the same thing over
Over
and
and over.
over and expecting a different result.
that's right.
Yeah. If in my little thought processes, if he doesn't dump Patricia, if he puts him in another slot, well, Bill is going to be the biggest loyalist to his friends going forward, because there's no reason to keep that guy.
Yeah.
Didn't know what he was doing.
No.
But by the same token, Dwayne, who put him there?
That's right. It does. It comes down to who's the boss here, who made these decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like if I said to you, all right, now look, Dwayne, you've got to solve this problem with computers. You got to go through all the logarithms. You got to look at this. You got to look at that, and you got to design a whole new program for the way we whatever. You'd say, I can't do that. But this is what Belichick did.
Yep.
Put people in slots that they couldn't possibly succeed.
How
And
much?
that
How much are we getting for advisory fees here?
We need to get more than we're getting, I can
That's
tell you
for
that. By the way, off the reservation he went. I was thinking this morning, you know, you and I do a lot of complaining. We see...
That's our place in life.
That's right.
We are professional complainers.
Critics.
That's right.
So I thought we should change a little bit.
Okay.
Just a little.
Is it going to hurt?
And invite Kamala Harris to come on our show.
Giggles?
Bring her on, and we'll put her in the middle, and we'll see if we can find out what the hell it is she does.
She giggles.
Yeah, giggles. And let her present her solution to the problems on the border, and then we'll tell her what's wrong with those ideas and see if we can't get her, pick her up, and put her back on the tracks, and give her a shove out the door and say, "Now, go do what we told you."
Yeah, but that position, no matter what, has always been. Somebody said sometime when somebody was elected the vice president, this was years ago, and they said about the job, and he said, "Well, you have to get a dark suit because you go to funerals, and that's your main job."
Well, sometimes you get to cut ribbons opening
Or
buildings
cut
too.
ribbons too, yeah. It's like running for lieutenant governor in this state. What the hell does a lieutenant governor do
Well, according to the latest,
except cut ribbons?
yeah, this Healy is going to have the lieutenant governor on board and working. She's going to give her tasks, and let me tell you something. From what I've seen of Miss Healy, she is going to be attempt to be a benevolent dictator.
Yeah.
And she is not going to say to the lieutenant, lieutenant governor, what do you think about this?
The only positive that I can see with Governor Healy, I suspect it's going to be short term.
She's got Washington
She's
eyes.
got ambitions in mind. This is just a mere stepping stone.
That's right. And she's going to take, remember, back when she was Attorney General, she took a year off
Yep.
and campaigned all over the country
That's
for
right.
Hillary Clinton.
That's right.
Well, that didn't work out. She's going to take a year off in 2023. You watch it, and she's going to be all over the country,
Yep.
2024, I should say,
Yep.
humping for
a
Biden.
government job,
Yeah.
a government position
And
in Boston.
with the proviso, I'll go out and work my butt off for you, Mr. President, but I'm in the cabinet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
Right.
even when she was Attorney General, she spent a good portion of her time suing Microsoft or going after the General Motors people or somebody
National Rifle
that had
Association.
nothing to do
Yeah.
with Massachusetts at all, but it got her national exposure.
Yep. She's the only person I know of that could elbow John Kerry out of the
Yeah,
way
that's
when
right.
the photographers were
Yeah.
there. Well, and Michelle Wu, too.
Yeah, Mr.
I mean,
Photog.
She is her picture is in the Herald every day. Mm-hmm. Oh, look at this. She went to a car wash, wondering what they do about recycling rags.
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
It's insidious.
Yep.
Saudi Arabia is buying the WWE.
I didn't know that.
Now, well, they're negotiating. That's
Okay.
a story that the WWE is up for sale, and the
We're talking about the wrestling.
yeah,
Okay.
the Saudis want to buy it. They want to get into entertainment. By the way,
That doesn't surprise me.
they like that over in Saudi
yeah.
Arabia. Yeah.
I know that the Saudis have their long-term plan is to de-emphasize oil and petroleum and go into other business ventures.
Yeah. And this is what they want to do. They want to build up a bunch of small businesses or big businesses, for that matter.
As a business plan,
that
it's a good
throw
idea.
A profit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what is going to happen when the women wrestlers go over there? Do they have to wear a burqa while they wrestle?
That's a good question because some of them are pretty provocative.
Or the hajib?
Yeah.
Yeah. What happens when the other one tries to pull
That's a
the other
good
one's
question because
hair?
that's one of the strictest Sharia
Yeah.
countries in the world.
Yes, it is. I see problems with this.
But money can be blind.
Yes, it can.
Money
Absolutely.
and power. Oh my God.
The one of the things that came up on TV was the other day is 18 of all the people that left their jobs the last year or the last 2 years combined. 18.8 million. The top category was hospitality.
Yeah, I can see that being one of them.
Yep, low paid.
Yeah.
You know. And the guest that was sitting there with Stuart Varney piped up and said, yeah, if you rented a motel room lately, they don't clean it. Mm-hmm. They don't come and make the beds. They don't, there's nobody to do it. So I was amazed at that.
Well, I'm kind of amazed at that too, because you watch the borders. There's tens of thousands of people trying to come in. You could go and say, you want a job making beds? You want to make a job picking beans? You want a job this? Yeah, I'll take it. We got hundreds of thousands of jobs that we can't fill.
Mm-hmm. We have.
And we got hundreds of thousands or millions of people trying to come in.
Yeah.
Well, put A with B and you solve two problems.
Yeah. We got some 7 or 8 million unemployed people.
Yep.
And we have 10.8 million open jobs.
Yeah, but the problem is the 7 million don't want
to work
those jobs.
That's right.
Yep.
Or they're jobs where they simply don't qualify. Mm-hmm. And there are also jobs where these people that are unemployed have police records, and you cannot
put them
hire police dispatchers.
Oh, no, of course not.
And have them have a record or have drug offenses.
Except Massachusetts.
Yeah, except in Massachusetts. Now, that's another story. Yeah. And the New York governor, Hochul, is going to ban gas stove sales by the year 2028. Not going to be able to buy and install a new gas stove. What ever happened to the freedoms we had in this country?
I don't know, and I'm not. I have no idea to who to believe about. I guess it's natural gas, not propane.
Right.
Which I got to ask you for. What's the difference between natural gas and propane? I don't know.
I'm not sure of that either, to tell you the truth. But it all comes from petroleum.
Yeah, you're right. But anyway, I don't know why all of a sudden this miraculous discovery of the dangers of nitrogen oxide. There's two different. Nitrous oxide is laughing gas. NO. This is NO2, I think, nitrogen oxide. Why all of a sudden that they just discovered that there's a high level of NO2 and it's dangerous? I can't believe that we were that backward before. We didn't know if it in fact was. But I don't understand.
Yeah. I can tell you this about propane. I believe it's compressed natural gas.
Okay.
Under pressure, and it does the same exact function as natural gas.
I saw something that said it burns hotter and cleaner. Mm-hmm.
And it's been around forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So the president's press secretary, with the forgettable name, said yesterday there are no plans for this administration to back something like banning gas stoves.
I don't think you could, because first of all, you can't ban them altogether, because you can't. I don't think you could run a restaurant.
You can't.
With electric.
You can't.
You can't. It's just the BTUs that's needed in a restaurant are just too great to do electrical.
And cooking with electricity. Now, by the way, folks, what I know about cooking, we could put on the head of a pin, but nonetheless.
And I got the pin next to it. So.
But I do know this, that when you're cooking and you fire up the gas stove, you have instant heat.
Instantly, yeah.
And if you fire up the electric stove, you got to wait for the burner to come up to temperature.
Yeah.
So cooking with gas I mean, it's much faster for the
And it's
restaurants.
more controllable.
Yeah, right. Very easy to turn down that.
Just a little bit. You
Yeah.
see what you're doing.
Yeah.
And we just bought well, not just, it's been over a year now. Probably the last one in the state to have a new stove. But we got those black, they're all the glass topped.
Yeah.
And you got to be careful with those things.
We have one. My wife doesn't like it.
You stay hot a long time after you shut that thing
and
off.
You can't see it.
No, and it's got a little warning light on it. You better pay attention to that, because one of my housey duties is cleaning that stove after I don't cook. So, but I've learned go like this over the stove
careful.
before I start.
By the by, we'll really get off. Gee, I wonder if we'll ever get to some of this stuff here. But by the by, so we are bombarded with advertisements on TV
Oh my God!
for Generac.
Oh, the generator people.
The generator people. They have 80% of the market.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. They get good marks.
Yes, they do.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
for
Listen,
quality.
the product is good. However, the pricing is a little misleading.
I think they're a little on the pricey side too.
Yes, they are. Prices start as low as $1,800. Yeah, well, you could probably run a toaster off that one.
That's right.
Yeah. But, so, all right, so we need this. If there's a storm that takes down some trees and takes out our lights, we need this backup generator for a variety of reasons. All of them genuine. But we are forbidding gas stoves in one state and looking to restrict natural gas pipelines.
That's right.
Because we want to force people over to electricity. One of the things about the Generacs is they operate off your natural gas
line.
supply line or propane tanks. Now, the last time I checked, Dwayne, propane and natural gas are a fossil fuel. They're a byproduct of drilling for oil. That's how we found them.
Bill, if you dig even 2 inches down into this no fossil fuel thing, you'll find out that you're going to come to a dead end.
We need a dose of realism in Washington about this. Oh, by the way, there's a very, very interesting article in today's newspaper about the electrification of all automobiles. Well, right now I think around 8% or something like that in sales annually for electrics, and it's just not booming. And guess who has announced they are sticking with gas engines? Toyota.
Toyota, yep. I'm not surprised.
That they are going to stay with traditional means of powering vehicles.
Good thing you brought that up. I think that was one of my points, but I forgot to write it down here. I'm sure it was. But it really irritated me. You brought up the fact a few shows ago about the tax break to buy an EV, electric vehicle. And you pointed out that the vast majority of the people buying those EVs are well-to-do people. They're a secondary car, there's an expensive vehicle, and we're rewarding these people to do what they're doing.
Some cases, a third vehicle.
Now, Massachusetts is putting in thousands of electrification stations. Guess who's going to pay for those? We are.
I'm going to guess that there's going to be something added to the sales tax. No?
To your electric bill. Every user of electricity in Massachusetts is going to get a surcharge to pay for these electrical stations so the people with their $80,000 Teslas can charge them up on the road.
Can the $130,000 Teslas also charge
yeah,
them
they
up
can
on
use
the
it too.
road too? Oh, great. That makes me feel so much better.
But we are going to support Joe Big
And the
Bucks
last
there.
time I checked, your Camry was gas-powered.
Yeah, it's been
My
there for
Buick is gas-powered.
8 years.
Yeah.
But again, we are paying the person that doesn't have or afford an electric vehicle. We are paying to support them.
And we're paying $7,500 to each individual that buys one of the damn
That's
things.
right. And
And that's you and I paying it.
they're not paying a penny gas tax to fix the roads and bridges.
That's right.
They get a free ride on top of all this.
Yeah.
This is not right.
No, it's not right, but
If
you
you
know
want to
what?
put all these charging stations in, you put a surcharge on that vehicle. And you say, well, how could we do that? Every year, you don't have any problem sending out an excise tax bill on your vehicle. Okay? You already got the mailing. You already got the postage paid. You just add it into the excise tax. For all electric vehicles,
That's
you're going to get paid. You pay this much.
But that's discriminatory. They're buying those electric vehicles to save our planet. Don't you understand?
I understand that the rich are getting richer on the backs of the poor.
You don't have to tell the rich how to hold on to their money.
Not in this state, anyway.
Yeah, and not only that, but this Article 1 that passed.
No.
Talk to me in a couple of years. The rich will have found ways around that. They won't be paying squat.
Now you're putting all your money offshore?
Down in Rhode Island.
Yeah, Rhode Island. Okay.
Oh man. A flock of geese
Yep.
went overhead when I was out in the backyard the other day, and they came up from the woods in back of my house, from the swamp, and I couldn't count them, Dwayne, but I know there was over 30, and I gave up. They disappeared off the horizon. What a noise it is when they take off, and every one of them is squawking.
The honking, yeah.
Yep.
I've heard that.
Yep. And I love it. It's nature, you know? And I had an epiphany. Now, I was really, and part of me still is angry, about the Canadian geese, about the little women running around in tennis shoes that started feeding the Canadian geese.
Canada geese,
I'm sorry. Through the winter. Because they're beautiful. I feed them all summer, and I can't shut them off when it gets cold. So they disrupted the entire migration of Canada geese.
Yep.
Because they wanted to feed them breadcrumbs. Well, this whole bunch is dead and buried. And we still got the damn Canadian geese, Canada geese.
Named after the naturalist Mr. Canada. It has nothing to do with the country.
So, really ticked me off. But then I had an epiphany. I said, thank you, Lord. You've shown me your plan. And I adopt it 100%. I'm on your side. This is perfect. The Canada geese are wonderful food for the foxes, the coyotes, the raccoons that need to eat to get through the winter also.
At one time, they were prime game for people, too.
Yeah.
Big hotels used to go out and shoot bunches of them for their dining room.
Exactly, yeah. And they used to kill hundreds of them and they also used to raise them, too.
Friends of ours that have since moved to Florida lived in Rentham on one of those ponds over there's a series of them. And,
Lake Pearl or...
the series that goes, it's further out when you go out. But His name was Carl, Debbie. And Carl always had ideas. He was always fooling with something. And they had a big deck out back, and their backyard went into one of these ponds. So he thought it would be cute to start sitting on the deck and feeding Canada geese. Well, he kept feeding them and feeding them and feeding them. Then he started feeding them on the deck to get them out. They had such a mess for years because hundreds of them would come up on that deck waiting to be fed. And each one depositing about a half a pound of goose poop. And his wife was so mad at that. She said, oh, he couldn't leave it alone. He's got to mess with stuff.
The law of unforeseen circumstances bites you again.
Yep.
Yep, absolutely right. Yeah. And the same thing, too. I've seen people that have a little dock that goes out into like Lake Pearl or Lake Archer or whatever. And they go out and throw breadcrumbs in to see the kivas come up and feed. Yeah, well, after a while, the kivas are living under your dock.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all over the place. But they enjoy it. So
well, the seals have taken over them parts of California. Those decks, the docks where they can't even put boats in anymore because their seals are on the...
And sometimes the seals charge the people.
Oh, yeah.
Get the hell off my territory. Ay, ay, ay. Now, I must confess here, the last show, not only did I make one error, I made two errors.
Oh, my God. And the world kept going around.
Yeah, it did. I said Adolf Hitler was Time Magazine's Man of the Year for 2 different years.
Yep.
I was wrong. It was just 1 year.
1 year, all right. Well, I don't think
Joseph Stalin
was
Man of the Year for 2 years.
Did somebody pick up on that?
No, I did.
Oh, okay.
I did. And I was looking at something, and I read Stalin was Man of the Year 2 years. Just something totally off the beaten path. And I said, no, wait a minute. So I went and looked at the list. And Hitler made it in 38. Stalin made it in 39 and 42, I think.
If any of you were taking your PhD orals for a PhD in history and missed that because of this show, we both apologize.
We enthusiastically apologize. Then, I now must tell you that I regret my choice of the Man of the Year, Putin.
Okay.
I don't know, the wires were crossed up there. So I'm changing it to the Ukrainian people.
They deserve it.
Yeah. They're doing something positive.
Can you imagine? And people, I don't think we can here, sitting here.
No, we can't.
A country, a cold country, with no electricity, no running water, no nothing. Sometimes not even walls around you. A country that's been used to the modern conveniences, just like we were. You know, they turn a light switch on, comes on, they got furnaces, they got everything else. All of a sudden, to have to go back, like living 200 years ago. I don't know what would happen in this country. I don't think we're tough enough to put up with that.
We're not.
I think Ukrainians are tough.
They're tough people.
They will go out and find some scrap wood in an old bucket and make a stove out of it.
They survived World War II.
And many, many times before that.
Then they just survived communist domination. And it wasn't until, 87, 88, when they threw off the shackles.
But I don't see us reacting the same way, because we are not self-sufficient as a nation. The population, there are certain the leaders are, but we're not taught to fend for ourselves.
You can see that in the fact that enlistments are down in the military.
Yep.
The young people are not being taught that freedom has its costs. Okay? And they are not joining the military. Why should I do that?
That's
you
right.
know? Yeah, oh yeah, Bill. Oh, you guys all had to do it. You were drafted. You can't tell me that. But now it seems there's no national pride. Now, of course, you say to yourself, look at the bozos in Washington. How can I have pride in it? You can still have pride in our Declaration of Independence, our Bill of Rights, and what we strive for as a nation. We do more good, even though we're screwed up, than, and we do more good for the whole world. We spread our wealth around quite a bit.
Yeah, we do.
But still, we're told, the kids are being taught in school, it's what they're being taught is so far off the beaten path, you know. Oh, the military, you know, they're not good. Well, look at what they did here and what they did there, and they oppress people and blah, 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 blah. Without the military.
Yeah.
And in civilian life, without the police.
Yep.
What would we have? We wouldn't have a country.
No, we wouldn't.
No, we wouldn't. Because for a country, you've got to have borders. There's no one to enforce the borders if you don't have police or the military. And that's why we are in the bloody mess we're in. A national poll I thought was kind of interesting. It asked a question. What do we want in the next president? And it's kind of generic, okay?
Yeah, that's a good question, though.
Yes.
Particularly in view of all the turmoil that we've gone through in the past 3 or 4 years.
There's two different answers. They evidently took two separate groups of people.
Okay, good.
Perhaps geographically, perhaps economically, I don't know, because I heard this on TV too bloody fast, okay? But the findings, it seems to me, are very interesting in that these two groups came up with more or less the same answer.
Oh, I don't. That don't surprise me.
So,
I think
I ask you, what do you want as far as age and as far as background is concerned in the next president?
15. Age. Let's take that one first.
Yep. By the way, both groups nailed this thing.
If I had to pick the ideal, it would be somebody at probably 50, 51, 52, someplace in that. Old enough to have some experience, but young enough to be able to change when you have to change and not be so set that ways, and the ability to do it.
The ability to do it, absolutely. And as far as his background is concerned?
I don't care. I don't care if he's. Sometimes I think it's better off without a politician, a political background. I like to see somebody, the captain of industry, come in that has just that type of
So
idea.
far, so good, man.
Really? Okay.
One more thing in the background and you'll have nailed this thing.
I don't know.
Okay. One poll said 51 to 55
Okay, that's
with business background and military experience.
I should have known
Yep.
that. Yeah, that I've said, and you said before.
Yep.
I think that should have or should be. I don't know how or when it would. It should be mandatory.
Absolutely.
Because I don't see. I could never understand how you can be commander in chief
Without understanding.
and don't know what the corporal is or a general.
Yeah.
You had no idea.
The other group, 51, that's a magic number,
Seems to be.
to 65.
Okay.
Business experience and military experience. Both groups said
See,
the
we're right.
same
We're
thing.
right with the That, but see, that would be an ideal type background. The least ideal,
Yes.
least ideal, is a politician that's been a politician all his life.
Yeah. All he knows is the art of compromise, or going along to get along.
Or grabbing power and influence and amassing my own whatever I've got
my
to do.
own selfish agenda,
That's right.
which is to fill my pockets.
Bottom line.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was a very interesting, a subset to the poll. 47% of the people say we've lost influence around the world. We've become a country of appeasement.
Yeah, I think we have lost our status as what we used to be.
We used to be would stand up
Yeah,
and would say, this is where America stands.
that's right.
And now, look at this bunch down Washington. Jumping, Jiminy. I have this is off the beaten path, but it's about what we're talking
Okay,
about.
go ahead.
Iran
Yep.
is killing people / women who do not want to wear a headscarf covering their hair. They're killing them.
Yeah.
What kind of people are the mullahs who run this theocracy? This regime is evil, yet the Biden administration is begging them to sign the nuclear treaty that Trump walked away from. As part of the treaty, Iran expects to get back the billions of dollars that we are holding from them. We have it frozen. We've frozen their assets in this country. Knowing full well, if we give it to them, they will use this to fund terrorism in the Mideast. The Saudis see us begging then as a sign that, and they are really mad at us for this, along with Biden's just weaving a sea of sand. But the Saudis are saying, you want us to back you. You want us to be your ally. And yet, you're going to give billions of dollars that you froze to our enemies
Iran.
that want to seize our oil fields. And that have tried to do that for decades.
There are so many enigmas now. So many opposite 10, Bill.
Okay.
There are so many opposites that you'd go crazy if you tried to rationalize them or straighten them out, because you can't do it. We live in a bizarre world right now.
We have a president who says one thing.
Yeah.
John Kerry is over there with the Iranians begging them, what more can I do to have you sign this nuclear agreement? So I thought the president was in charge of foreign policy. And yet, you got the climatologist over there
Yeah.
on bended knee. And then you have our president on bended knee begging them to sell oil to us.
Yeah.
So people look at us
It's
and
a
they must say,
world of enigmas, and you got to remember though, when dealing with somebody like Iran, for an Iranian and a lot of other countries to pick up that pen and sign, I will not make a nuclear weapon, and I'll date it, ain't worth the paper that was just printed on.
that's right. You're absolutely right.
They don't respect that kind of thing.
They respect that right
They
there.
respect the fact that they fooled you. So the fact that you're going to sign a nuclear agreement or not sign a nuclear agreement with someone like Iran, it doesn't matter. They'll do whatever they can do to get their advantage.
That's exactly right. They respect the fact that if they deviate from that,
Yeah.
we will take
Somebody's going to
action.
smash them in the face.
That's right.
That's right.
And
That's the
whether
only thing
it's
they understand.
economically or physically or whatever, but we will take measures.
Yeah.
Now, you can see that going on with the sanctions against the Russians.
Yep.
This is really hurting the Russians. But you know who else it's really bothering is the Chinese.
Yep.
The Chinese would like to support the Russian effort
Absolutely.
more aggressively than they are, but they are afraid we will pile more sanctions on Chinese goods. And the Chinese are businessmen first.
First, yep. Regardless what their political philosophies are, they still have fallen to the influence of the yen or the dollar or the whatever you want to call them. That they see first.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
My self-interest
Yep.
is what I see. You know, I have two things on this piece of paper that don't have much to do with each other. I think I'll get rid of the other thing too.
Okay.
It'll give me another chance to rave.
Go ahead.
Why do we have to have campaigns where we pay people? Oh, you come down and get a $10 MasterCard, prepaid MasterCard, to register to vote. Why do we have to pay people to register to vote?
We shouldn't.
Why do we have to worry about some bozo that takes no interest in this country at all, who is probably taking advantage of unemployment and all the other programs we have, and that is not the least bit interested in understanding what's going on in this country, what the issues are? He's so uncaring that he's never bothered to register to vote. Why, in God's name, do we want him voting?
Yeah.
What is the big impetus? We got to have everyone participating. Well, some people don't want to participate.
So be it.
And that's right. And you know what, Dwayne? A lot of times when I think about suicide, I say to myself, we don't want people committing suicide. But you know what? If you think I'm going to go around and try to wrestle a gun out of their hands, you're crazy.
You're right.
That's right. Man, when someone decides to do that, it's between them and their maker.
That's right.
And that's how I feel about this.
But
Why?
it all comes down to, why do we want everybody to vote, whether they should or shouldn't, or not, that's another story. Or why do we want people not to vote? Why do we make it harder for people to vote? It all because who's shaking the tree?
Bingo.
Is it to my advantage that you vote, or my advantage you don't vote? Well, if I've got the power, I'm going to make conditions that's going to influence your actions to favor me. And both sides do it.
You know, there was an article in the paper the other day, it's in here someplace. Where is the real ID?
That's right.
It is still sort of in limbo.
Mm-hmm.
Government, the Democrats don't want to push it.
No.
And if this is insane, why can't we have a national ID? Why does it have to be the
right.
the quasi kind of ID, the driver's license that
star on it.
also furnishes as a ID?
See, that's the answer. That's the crux of the problem. The answer is obvious, but we can't do it. We've got a divided country. We've got the left and we got the right. And the right says, I'll be damned if I'm going to cooperate with the right. And the right says, damned if I'm going to cooperate with the left. And here we are.
And here we are. And we're stuck in the middle.
We're stuck.
And you know the funny part about this, Dwayne, is they've done poll after poll after poll after poll. And they find 50 or 60% of the country is in the bloody middle.
Yeah, and they're mad.
Yeah.
But come time for election, they'll vote back the same monkeys that are putting us in this situation in the first place because they're afraid. Well, I've always voted for Jaime Pupik.
Yeah.
And
my dad was a Democrat.
Yeah, so
he was a union guy,
yeah.
and I don't understand all this crap going on, so I'll just do what he used to do.
Yep.
Yeah. It's mind-boggling.
Everything's an enigma now.
Yeah.
Yep.
It is. I don't know. It drives me nuts. L.A. must be quite a spot.
Pardon me?
L.A., Los Angeles must be quite a spot.
Boy.
40,000 homeless, and it takes 3 to 6 years for the permitting process to build apartments.
Yeah.
So if somebody wanted to put up a massive low-income housing project, it's probably 3, 4, 5 years before you get the permits for it. Gee, a lot of people get starved to death. They get shot in the street.
No. Yeah, that's
in that time frame. By the way, I'm always thinking about businesses to get into. Maybe you and I could get into it. But have you seen fly swatters in the stores lately?
funny you should ask that. 2. We were on a fly swatter search a couple of years ago. Every place I went, I said, is it just they're so sophisticated here in Massachusetts that they don't have flies or they don't know anything about fly swatters? I couldn't find them. I finally found a couple.
On the internet?
No, I never even thought of doing that. I see, I found at Walmart in Walpole. Now, it was a silly one, plastic, and it had a little flower on the end made out of plastic, a little crappy thing. And then one day I went into Ace Hardware there, and I think that's...
Millis?
No, Walpole. Right there.
Okay, Walpole, okay.
And they had a whole bunch of them hanging on the end cap, the old kind with the metal thing and the thing,
wow.
a whacker on the back. I said, I'm getting a couple of these. There's going to be one upstairs and one downstairs.
Wow. Well, I haven't seen a fly swatter for sale. I don't know how
searched
long.
and searched.
Yeah.
Target doesn't carry them. Other people don't carry them.
Maybe we should build a fly swatter factory.
I think so.
Start putting them in stores on a commission basis.
That you mentioned, I looked for a year for a damn fly swatter and couldn't find it.
And at the same time, we're overrun with flies.
Yeah, we were getting a lot of flies. Plus, we were getting them little creepy little worms crawling around someplace in there.
Hey. We're running up to the end of our first show here. I'll just leave you with this. I don't know who said this.
Okay.
But I wrote it down anyway. To forgive terrorists is up to God. To send them to God is up to us.
Good point. Good point. Yeah.
Words to live by.
That's right.
Yeah, so next time, just not feel bad about what we must do with terrorists. By gosh, by golly. Well, this show, I hope, has enriched your lives. And if you'll stick around, take a break, maybe grab a couple of cold ones out of the refrigerator. We'll be back in a few minutes with more.
Part 2.
Part 2.